Have you ever found yourself drowning in a sea of data, spread across multiple tables, wondering how to quickly extract the information you need without sifting through everything manually? Whether you are managing a team, overseeing business operations, or crunching numbers as a data analyst, you face a common dilemma: efficiently finding, connecting, and joining relevant data. Here is a great solution within Google Sheets. It's called VLOOKUP, and it might be just the most powerful tool you miss to speed up your data tasks. Hey there, I'm Ievgen. Welcome to our OWOX BI YouTube channel, where we speak all things about analytics, marketing, spreadsheet magic, and much more. Today, we are going to talk about VLOOKUP in Google Sheets. What is it? How it works? We'll decompose the syntax, discuss various business applications, and I'll share with you tips and tricks to troubleshoot common mistakes. With this being said, let's get started and transform the way you handle your data. VLOOKUP, basically a vertical lookup, is one of the most powerful functions available in Google Sheets. It's designed to search for a specific piece of information in a table, essentially acting as a search engine within your spreadsheet. VLOOKUP allows you to specify a value you want to search for, a range in which to find it, and then specific data related to that value you want to retrieve. This makes it incredibly useful for pulling associated data from large tables without manually searching, saving both time and effort. It's close to what join does in SQL. I have the video about it right here, and I'll also leave a link in the description to this video. But VLOOKUP is really way simpler to use in spreadsheets. Imagine you have a large table with hundreds of rows of inventory data. Plus, you have the table with the retail prices for the products. If you need to find the price or a specific product and add it to the inventory table, VLOOKUP can search for the product name and return the price from the pricing table or any other associated information you need. So basically, by using VLOOKUP, you automate the process of matching and retrieving data from one table to another. And while VLOOKUP is the most commonly used lookup functions in Google Sheets, it's not the only one. There are other functions like HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, index, and match, each with unique capabilities. We'll explore this in our upcoming videos, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button. VLOOKUP is a fundamental tool for anyone who regularly works with data in Google Sheets, providing quick answers to complex questions. The syntax of VLOOKUP contains of four things. Search key is the value to search for in the first column of the specified range. Next, the range of cells that contain your data. Again, it's very important here that VLOOKUP searches for the search key in just the first column of this range. So you need to move the columns in the range accordingly. Then, there is the column index number from the range to return the value from. The index number must be between 1 and the number of columns in the range. And finally, isSorted is an optional Boolean value, true or false, that indicates whether the column to be searched, the first column of the specified range, is sorted or not. If true, VLOOKUP will perform an approximate match. If false, it performs an exact match. By default, the value you use is false. Let's say you have two tables, one for inventory and one for product pricing. Inventory tables contains details about products, including their names and stock levels. Pricing table contains product names and their corresponding prices. Here is how you might use VLOOKUP if you want to add the price of the product to the inventory table based on the product name. In a new column in the inventory table, we'll use the following formula to find the corresponding prices from the pricing table. We'll start with equal sign, then VLOOKUP, then we'll add the parentheses. Our search key is gonna be the value in the A3. Then our range is gonna be the whole pricing table. I'll just leave it like H and I. Okay. Index is 2. This tells the VLOOKUP to return the value from the second column of the range, which contains the prices. And it's unsorted, so we'll say false here. Okay, we got the green tea price here. It's $15.60. We can check it out here. Yeah, it's great. Now what we can do is we can just drag this formula, because we have our range fixed, to see the corresponding prices. Amazing. Imagine you are a sales rep, and during a call a customer asks for details or the price about the product they are interested in, but they only remember a fragment of its name. You need to quickly find the product details without searching manually through hundreds of items. We can use the VLOOKUP function here as well, but we'll try the partial match VLOOKUP. We have a product catalog with various items, with names, price, stock number. Our goal is to find the price of a product using only a partial name that the customer provides. To do this, we will use a VLOOKUP function combined with a wildcard character, and here is how. In a separate cell, enter the partial name you remember. For instance, let's say the customer mentions hydro. Next to it, set up our VLOOKUP formula in cell G3. The formula will look like this. We'll start with the search key. Here is here. And then we need to concatenate it for the partial name with an asterisk from the wildcard. We'll do it like this. Which means we will find the first product on the list that starts with hydro and then have any symbols afterwards. Next, our range. Next, our range. We'll specify B3 to D100, or the range where our product catalog data is. We don't need the column A because it contains the product codes that we are not interested in right now, but column B contains the product names. Next, 2. This tells VLOOKUP to return the value from the second column in the range, which is the price. And finally, our range is unsorted, so let's put on false. Let's press enter and see what VLOOKUP finds for us. The expected results should be hydro, flask, water bottle, and we can see it right here with a price of $22.87. This shows you how effectively VLOOKUP can work with partial names, not the full ones. Okay, another practical scenario. You have 2 columns of email addresses in different sheets or sections of a sheet, and you need to find which email addresses in column A appear in column D, or the other way around. Column A contains a list of contact email addresses in the database. Column D contains a list of email addresses of the attendees of a specific event, and column E contains their names. If you want to identify which contacts from the database actually attended this specific event that we have listed in columns D and E, we can use the VLOOKUP with if statement. This is where it's getting a bit more complicated, but it's really super easy. I'll show that in a second. So let's start with the VLOOKUP formula. We'll put it right here. Our search key is A3. Our range is the whole column D. The index is 1 because the data we want to return is in the first column of the range. And false specifies an exact match, which is essential for email comparisons. Now, we need to add a few functions here. First, we'll take our VLOOKUP into parentheses and we'll add isError and if functions. The wrapper checks if the VLOOKUP results in an error, meaning the email is not found, indicating the person didn't intend our event. Then it would return no. Otherwise, it returns yes. Let's check the range and duplicate it through the whole list to see the results. Next, as you can see on the screen, we have our employees table with columns for role, name of the employee, and the department. We want to look up for the head of the department for each of the employees, but first we'll create the helper column for the head title. This is where we'll build a unique identifier that combines the department with the keyword head to signify the leadership role. For our department heads, this column will explicitly read as head of the name of department, like head of IT or head of marketing. Let's populate the helper column for each employee. So we'll use the formula equals head of space in double quotes and the name of department. Let's expand this. This setup will help us use this column as a reference point for our VLOOKUP function. Now we'll use VLOOKUP to populate the head name column. We'll look up each department in our helper column and retrieve the corresponding head's name. We'll type VLOOKUP D2, where our head title is, then our range A2 to C, then we need the column 2, which is the name, and it's unsorted, so we'll type in false. Alright, so our head of IT is Isha. Here she is, so everything is correct. Now let's fix our range like this and then expand. So as we drag the formula down, you'll notice that each employee's department head populates in the head name column. This allows everyone in the same department, like Grace and Robert in IT, to see Isha listed as their head. Suppose you need to access data from a different sheet within the same Google Sheets file, such as fetching hourly rates for employees from an employees sheet to a sales sheet based on employee's ID. Let's imagine you have an employees sheet with employee's ID in column A, employee's name in column B, and then hourly rate in column C. You want to fetch this rate into the sales sheet where corresponding employee's ID are listed in column A. So let's now use VLOOKUP to fetch the hourly rate. So here is what we'll do. We'll type in VLOOKUP, we'll open the parentheses, we'll search for an employee ID, then we put comma, we'll go to the employees sheet and select the range. Here it is, columns A to C. So we need to find the hourly rate, which is in column 3, and it's unsorted. So let's type in false and great. So we fetch the hourly rate for the employee number 1. Now we need to expand this throughout the whole row. So let's remove the numbers here and autofill. Great. Let's move forward now. Fetch the employee name from another sheet. So we'll drag this formula. We'll see an error here, and now we'll see why. Well, first, because the search key is wrong. We are not looking for the employees with the same sales amount, but rather with the same employee ID. Plus, the range is now moved. As you remember, we've used A to C from the previous example. And now we need the column number 2, which is where our employee name is. And it's unsorted. Let's go ahead. Great! Now we have the one data set with employee ID, sales amount, hourly rate, and the employee name. But there is one more case, when you might need to pull data from a spreadsheet file different from the one that you are currently working. So imagine you're working with the same sales file with employee ID and the sales amount. Let's imagine we don't have anything here. And our employees database is inside another file, not just another tab. So we will need to use the import range function inside our VLOOKUP to get the right data we are looking for. So here, instead of specifying another tab and the range, we'll need to import those data from another sheet. So let's go here, type in import range, open the parentheses, and now we need to specify two things: the link to the document and then the range. So first we need to open the quotes and put the link to another spreadsheet, write the one you see here at the top. Then we'll put comma, and then we need to specify the tab name and the range. So the tab is called Sheet 1. After that, we'll put the exclamation mark and specify the range, just the one as we've specified before. And I'll delete this. Now we see an error, just because we don't have access to that specific file. For the first time the destination spreadsheet pulls data from a user or spreadsheet, permission is needed to be granted. So let's click on Allow Access. Alright, now we have 25 here, which is exactly the same as specified as an hourly rate for an employee with an ID 1. So let's expand this. This method allows you to seamlessly integrate data from multiple Google Sheets files, making your data management tasks more efficient and connected, even when working across different documents. Now, let's explore some of the common Google Sheet VLOOKUP issues and tips to solve them. Issue number 1. Dragging the formula changes the range. When you drag the VLOOKUP formula down, the range might shift incorrectly, if not fixed. Solution: instead, use absolute references in the range by adding the $sign to lock it, preventing changes when copying the formula. Issue number 2. Mismatched data types. The data types of the search key in both tables don't match. For example, if one of them is text and another one is numeric. Solution: you have to ensure that the data types are consistent. Convert numbers stored as text into numeric format, for example using the value function, or force numbers to text just using the toText function. Issue number 3. Incorrectly using approximate match. Using true for the isSorted argument in the formula without sorting the first column of the range can return incorrect results. Solution: by default, always set isSorted parameter to false to ensure exact match is made. Issue number 4. Non-printable characters like spaces or line breaks within cells can cause VLOOKUP to fail. Solution: use the trim and clean functions to clean up data before applying VLOOKUP. Trim removes extra spaces and clean removes non-printable characters. Issue number 5. VLOOKUP only searches right. VLOOKUP cannot look to the left if only searches for the search key in the first column of the range and returns value to the right. Solution: reorder the columns before applying VLOOKUP function so your key is always in the first column of the range. Issue number 6. Errors. VLOOKUP returns an error if the search key doesn't exist in the range. Solution: wrap VLOOKUP with an if-error function to handle errors gracefully. For example, using if-error and then put the VLOOKUP in parentheses will result in displaying not found instead of an error. Issue number 7. VLOOKUP is case insensitive and might confuse similar values with different casing, like apple versus apple. Solution: standardize data case using lower or upper functions within VLOOKUP to ensure uniformity. I hope this video will help you troubleshoot common issues with VLOOKUP in Google Sheets. If you are making the data manipulation tasks, make them more effective and less prone to errors. And that wraps up our deep dive into VLOOKUP in Google Sheets. We've covered everything from the basics and the syntax to advanced applications. We've navigated through practical examples and addressed common pitfalls and how to sidestep them to ensure your data works as hard as you do. Now it's your turn to take these insights back to your spreadsheets. With these skills you've learned today, start integrating VLOOKUP into your data workflow. Experiment with different tables, tweak the parameters, and watch the magic happens with less effort from your side. If this video helped light up some light bulbs for you, hit the like button and remember, VLOOKUP is just the beginning. Subscribe to this channel as we continue to explore more Google Sheets functions like index, match, and query, and so much more in the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. I'm Ievgen from OWOX, your guide through the world of data manipulation. Remember, Every formula you master is a step towards sharper, smarter, business, data-oriented decisions. Keep exploring new things. Stay curious about your data and, as always, happy analyzing!